Yo, what's up, guys? Todd from zeotag.com, and on today's show, we have Ryan Hanley, who's been doing great things with video marketing since 2009. So we get into all the awesome things he's learned and what his journey has looked like over the last 10 plus years in creating videos, going from an Android in 2009 to what he's doing today, what kind of production value you guys should think about, and a few easy tips that will make your videos go from just so-so to much better and more engaging for people without doing any extra work. It'll be things you could put into place today for your business. And we also talk about the new really awesome innovation he's doing when it comes to email and video and how he's using that to build a much stronger personal relationship with his audience at scale. So if you want to learn how to take your videos to the next level, if you want to get a decade's worth of video experience in the next 20 minutes, and if you want to see what kind of innovative video ideas are on the horizon right now, this is the episode for you. Make sure you go over to zeotag.com to sign up for your free account. And without further ado, here's today's episode with Ryan Hanley. Ryan Hanley, welcome to the show, man. I'm super pumped to have you here. Been following along with your journey for like 10 years at this point. Right before we hit record, we started talking about like what you were doing 10 years ago. And I just want to acknowledge you for the consistency of action and quality that you've been putting out over the last decade. So for people who are new to Ryan Hanley, like, you know, who are you, where did you get started, and kind of what's been your journey at a high level over the last 10 years here as a content professional?
Well, first I got to say I am super pumped to be here, and I've also been following your journey, man. I mean, that's how we found each other. Yeah. So for those of you, well, probably most of the people listening to this don't know who I am. I started as a boots-on-the-ground independent insurance agent, so the guy you see hawking home and autos at the really old-looking building in your town, like that's where I started, working for my father-in-law. And I was really terrible at selling insurance. And it wasn't until I found about a year and a half in, my father-in-law, not because he's a mean guy, he's actually the best, but he like kind of sat me down and said, I don't think this is working. And it's really hard to almost get fired by your father-in-law. So that kind of spurred me into action. I had to find other ways to do business because the kind of traditional stuff wasn't working for me personally. That's when I found digital marketing, specifically LinkedIn. LinkedIn kind of got me into creating content, even though it was, I mean, we're talking 2009 LinkedIn, so this is a whole different ballgame. Not the LinkedIn that Gary Vee talks about now. It's like you couldn't even compare the two. Yeah. But just the idea of what people were doing and sharing got me thinking. That kind of got me into blogging. Blogging led me to video. So where I really cut my teeth and what put me on the national scene from a marketing perspective, and by that I mean I spoke at all kinds of different social media, national events and different stuff, was I answered 100 insurance questions in 100 days via YouTube video, 2 minutes or less. I was using a 5 megapixel non-HD Android Pro at the time, which is like the worst Palm knockoff. and anyone in their 20s doesn't even know what Palm is, but like, yeah. It's this old kind of style with the buttons on the phone, and I would just hold it in the air, just kind of the what has come back. It's funny, 10 years later, like it's coming back where you just kind of like go, yeah, kind of hold the phone in the air with your hand. Well, no one was doing that. I just didn't, I didn't have a tripod, so I just would hold it and I'd say like, hey, my name is Ryan Hanley. Today we're going to answer the question, what is underinsured motorist coverage? And then whack, I'd answer the question. 2 minutes or less was my goal. I'd take that, upload it to YouTube, from, kind of tag out, and we're still in like the wonky like tags and keyword stuffing days of the internet. And then I would take that video and I'd paste it on my website and I'd do a little blog post, because like 3 months earlier, YouTube had added the feature where you could embed videos on your website. That was like huge news back then. So I did that 100 days in a row, and I just answered 100 different questions, and it completely changed the course of my career because I saw, 1, the power of content marketing, 2, the power of answering client questions, and 3, the power of video. And from that day, I've probably created thousands of videos in all different iterations of my life and my career. But what has never stopped is, and regardless of what my role has been or what I've done, is my usage of kind of classic content marketing principles, deliver value, The core principle of answering client questions. You could call this the Marcus Sheridan they ask you answer, which he stole from me, by the way.
Yeah, no, I hope you get commission for that,
No, that is 100% a jest. Marcus is my boy, and at the same time, Todd, that you and I kind of found each other. Marcus and I found each other, and we were just talking about this strategy. I just bust his chops about that. He's a man, it's this thing. But and it's amazing. You should go buy that book. They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan, and then finally video. So I've kind of used those three core pillars. Whether I've been the CEO of a company, which I've been, chief marketing officer, down to just a salesman at a company, doesn't matter. Whatever the role is, those three principles have held true. And today, I'm, as of a month ago, the proud founder of my very own independent insurance agency. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
In upstate New York. And video, content marketing, and answering client questions will be the three pillars of our marketing strategy for that business as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I love it. And it's crazy that we've kind of been preaching this same thing for a decade, and people are still just barely picking it up, right? Like, so, our audience is a lot of people who they already know that there's value in video, right? And maybe they're being sporadic, they're putting stuff out, but what are maybe some of the biggest misconceptions or mistakes you're seeing with people who are trying to get their video game going, and it's just maybe they're not getting the traction that they had expected? Like what kind of mistakes do you see out there?
So the very first one is to believe that there are any rules to this. There are no rules. You could do 30-second videos. You could do 30-minute videos. I've done both. Both work. It all depends on how much value you're adding. Mm-hmm. So video is about adding value, not production value. Now, production value helps, and it certainly can help amplify and take you to a whole nother level, but you have to get that first step of adding value. What is the purpose of the video? If you were to go back and look at some of the videos that I did back in 2011, you would see a square video because literally they didn't have the ability to go widescreen. You would see non-HD, talk about like color grading, and I mean, it didn't exist. I would literally take a video, I would use YouTube's native tool to trim the front and the back so you couldn't see me like picking the phone up and putting the phone down, and post it, right? And so granted, I think the bar is higher for production quality today than it was in 2011, but the idea is have a purpose for the video. And it could be let's say you're a marketer and you have a local bakery that's one of your marketing clients, right? Well, if you're a really cool video would be stand across the street, take a little B-roll shot, walk up to the front door, take a little B-roll shot, walk in the door, stand next to the owner and say, and have them talk about why their bagels are the best bagels in town. Boom, perfect video. You know what the value was? You highlighted one of your clients for the tremendous work they did. It can be a minute and 30 seconds. That's it. Like, that's a great video. Answer a client question, something like that. Like, I just feel like people are getting so caught up in, dude, I love Casey Neistat. I got the Work Harder sweatshirt in my closet. Like, I love Casey. I love Peter McKinnon. I love all these guys. I like watching what they do. What they do is not what we do as marketers. It is completely different, right? Their value is like the same value that Steven Spielberg's trying to bring to a video. Yours is to add value to someone. Why did they watch the video? And if you can do that, all the other stuff will come.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't agree more. And I actually last year we ran tests on videos that were webcam style in a home office versus highly produced $3,000 graphics, blah blah blah, and like the authentic videos outperform by 5 times, easy, every time. So, I think that authenticity, it's really about, like you said, it's about substance first, and that's something I loved watching you evolve over the years. Where, like you said, like you're creating videos with value first, and then over the years you've become an incredibly talented like videographer, right? But that's been second to what message you're putting out, and I think that's definitely a big thing I think people miss. And even yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my partners, and he wants to start doing video. And start talking about like, okay, well, if we get like this, spare office set up with a video and all this, I'm like, dude, take your phone right now and like, let's just do a 5-minute thing talking about whatever you want to talk about. I think that's definitely a place where people get hung up, and the message should definitely be highest priority, and that's really what matters. So I couldn't agree more.
So I'll tell you an interesting caveat to that. So the arc of my career has been production value 0, right? Value high. Let me put it this way. Understanding that I would like to believe in most cases I am attempting to deliver the most value.
Yeah.
But over the years, I have, I don't know that I'm an incredibly talented videographer, but I certainly have learned some skills. And now, today, if you were to go watch my YouTube videos today, it is literally a black fade into me, snap of a finger, black fade into me talking right into the video. Like, I am not the whole, panning B-roll shot with the drone over and the crazy transition and the color, I will occasionally color correct something if I think it's a little off. Most of the time, I just try to get it right on my camera the first time. And then it's just people are watching the video to get, like I said, I'm not Peter McKinnon. I'm not Casey Neistat. Like, someone is watching my videos, like, they come for what is he going to say to me that I can use in my business and again, we all have to put that in the context of what we're trying to do. But like the production value went way up, and now if you were to watch them, it's come down to I properly light it. I make sure the audio is good. I make sure I'm square in the frame, but then just go. And I think all the production value that you really need in most cases you can do with just understanding some basics of how to light, audio, and frame yourself. If you can understand those 3 things, you are good. And then you don't have to worry about post-production. Yeah.
I think that's great. Can you give a tip on each one of those things, the 3 things you just gave?
Yeah. So I'm gonna teach everyone how to be Steven Spielberg right now. So if you're doing a video with your camera, take your camera, and there's this really there's a wonderful light source. It's big. It's kind of yellowish hue to it. It comes up every day, right? It's called the sun. Make sure you're facing the sun. Now, I would face the sun and then turn yourself a little to the left or a little to the right so that you're not square in your face. You got a little bit of a left shot or a little bit of a right shot, and then just hold your phone up in the air and talk to it. You've just properly lit yourself in most cases. Now, if it's noon and the sun is coming right down on your head, a little bit tougher, but for the most part, just have a light source in front of you. Don't like if you were watching this video right now, the light source is coming from straight over my head. So I look a little wacky versus you have a light source coming straight at your face. You look much better. Oh,
thank you.
So this is plus you got that killer beard and I can't do that. I would say, just find a light source, make sure you're facing it so that you're lit up. Really easy. You don't need fancy lights. I do have a ring light, which you can't see, which is right off the screen over here that I use. That was like $150. That was a good investment, very versatile, not necessary. For audio, try to be in a room that doesn't have an echo. That's really the big piece of it. And try to use, I would purchase somewhere between a $50 to $100 microphone, whether if it's your iPhone or your cell phone. There's tons of phones that plug into it. If it's a DSLR, I use the Shure, SHURE. It's like $150, plugs right in the top, super easy. That's it. Boom, you're good on audio. But the echoey room thing is the one. If it's going to echo, go to a different room. Care less about your backdrop than you do about the quality of the audio. So if you have to go to a room that sounds better but maybe looks like crap behind you, that's completely fine. Sound better. And then the framing is just, make sure that you're in the middle. If it's talking head style, don't do the 2/3 thing. If it's, the 2/3 thing is more for photos. So a lot of people will off center themselves on purpose because they think they're supposed to use the rule of thirds. You can Google that. Yeah. Talking head style, just put yourself right in the middle. Boom. Now you're got good lighting so people can see you. You have good audio. It's not echoey, and you're properly framed. You're directly in the middle. They know where to look. Their eyes go to the center. They can focus on you. Now you're ready to deliver a high quality thing. This is it takes far less time to actually do it than the time I even took to explain it. So this is easy stuff. This is super easy stuff.
Yeah. So all right, when people sit down, they got the window with the sun coming in, they have they're in the frame, their room's not echoey, and how do you go about what are some tips for people to actually produce valuable content like on camera, right? Like what they're saying. Do you have them plan ahead and outline, completely script it? Like what kind of tips do you have for that kind of thing?
In this case, everyone's going to work a little different. I would struggle to think that anyone needs, unless they're using a teleprompter, like a legit teleprompter, and know how to read off a script, I would caution them against scripting. Because what happens when you script something is you come off like this, Todd, I think the best answer to this, because you're reading it, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can get, so like television, like people on CNN, right? None of those people believe anything they're saying. They're reading something that someone else wrote. But you don't know that.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, it's like their original thoughts. Right? Exactly. I shouldn't use CNN. That's political. Ron Burgundy, right? Just like Ron Burgundy. So that takes a lot of practice to be able to read off a script on a teleprompter the right way. If you are reading off a script that is not on a teleprompter, that's like off to the side and your eyes keep darting to the left, that's a really bad idea. Yeah. So let's have a better idea. A better idea would be to bullet point out the things that you want to say, talk through them a couple times, maybe do a take on the camera. And if you don't like it, here's the best part about video. Delete that shit and do it again. Like, you know what I mean? I think we get so nervous about one take, ahs, no one cares about ums or ahs. Now, if you're umming and on and liking and sewing your whole way through the video, that's a problem. But if you have a simple or an ah, no one cares. You're a real person. That's what's important. Yeah. So I'd say off the cuff, if you got the chops to do that, I still have bullets. I mean, if you were to see, I have notebooks all over my desk. And I keep showing you things like, I don't know if this is actually going to be on video or not. So I have notes like, here's a bullet points for a video I did for my wife.
Well, we don't need to know about that. You keep that home, all right?
That came off terrible. I wish it was something cool like that. No, for her business. Geez, maybe I should. Here's one I did for an insurance carrier friend of mine. So like I bullet every video. I kind of look through it. I get it in my mind. I turn the camera on and I go. Yeah. So and I just sewed on you, but I'm very comfortable with ums, ahs, pauses. I'm comfortable with that. It doesn't bother me. For other people, that's what I think the best way is. I'm also very wordy, so that's part of it.
So now there's the flip side of it, right? Like I totally agree. Do a couple takes. If you don't like them, delete them. Like nobody has to see them, right? But on the flip side, I don't want how much is too much. Like some point, it's like, guys, all you're doing is recording a conversation and you need to get it out. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, completely void of ums and ahs and so's. Like, so what's that balance of like, getting stuck in perfection versus what's acceptable, you think?
Watch it. And if it makes you want to vomit, then it's going to make everyone who else watches it want to vomit. I'm serious. You will know. One of my keys to writing blog posts, and I've said this 1,000 times, is you write the blog post and then read the blog post out loud audibly. Yeah. You'll hear the places, and I call this the rhythm of your writing. Like this, you'll hear the rhythm, and you'll hear places where you break that rhythm, and then you just said, did I break it on purpose? Well, that's a different topic. Yeah. But same thing goes for your video. Watch your video back, and again, if it's a 20-minute video, maybe you want to put a little more time into it because now you're talking about put a little more time into planning, or watch it in blocks because it's completely okay to do. Let's say you script out a longer video. It's like a long explainer video. You're really taking someone through something. It's okay to do that in 5-minute chunks. Yeah. It's okay to have a break in there. You don't have to talk for 20 minutes straight. You can do, here's section 1, 5 minutes, boom. At the end, hit pause, watch it back, go, that looks pretty good. Section 2, whack. If they're shorter videos, 2 minutes, just blast it out, watch it back, and go, good enough, out the door.
Yeah, I totally agree.
In today's world, man, and you know this as well as anybody, in today's world of highly produced, kind of fake news. We don't know which companies to believe. They're telling us it's organic, but really it's only 40% organic, which is good enough in Delaware. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. People really appreciate someone who's one, trying, and two, is human. Like, I got a lot of business from the 100 questions thing simply because I was trying. People would call me up and go, you know what? I just like that you did it. I'll give you a shot. Like, what can you do for me? You know, that was it. They just liked the effort that you were willing to put in, and you know, and that's good enough for a lot of people. Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, I want to ask you about something new that you started doing recently. And I love seeing people, you know, take new shots at video or anything, technology, marketing, communications, business. And you have been putting out an email newsletter for a while, right? And just recently, I forget, a couple of weeks ago at this point, you started doing something a little different. So can you tell us what you're doing and how it's going?
Yep. So 8 weeks ago, I switched my newsletter to a video newsletter. And really, it's everything that I would have put into a regular newsletter, except I just talk about it. And I post it to YouTube, and then I do a really short intro email to the newsletter list and just say, here, watch this. And it's been really interesting, man, for a lot of reasons. I would say a success. Yeah. One, because I can blast out like a 10 to 15 minute video newsletter way faster than it would take me to do an email.
Yep.
Two, the personal connection is unbelievable. One of the reasons why I've believed in video for so long is because it captivates two senses at the same time. Where writing captivates you visually. Now, if really well done writing also captures your mind too, because you're picturing things in your mind. But it's pretty much just visual. Audio, I love podcasts for their reach, but it's a very loose relationship because oftentimes it's just audio. You're only capturing that one sense, and a lot of times someone's doing something else. You're driving, you're mowing the lawn, you're taking the dog for a walk. Yes. Video forces you to listen and watch. And for that reason, even though your numbers might be lower, the people who watch you develop a much deeper connection to who you are as a person. So the video newsletter for me was, one, I wanted to just try it. Two, I needed to save some time because the video newsletter has nothing to do with my actual business, Rogue Risk. It has to do with this insurance marketing thing that I do. And I just would say other people should try it. Like, mine is very basic. I will hyperlink in the newsletter often to different sections. So I'll just pull the YouTube video out like at 7:10, and give people that option.
Which you're going to be doing with Zeotag insteed pretty soon when we get out.
Yeah. So it's like hey, now I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with what you guys have going on. So today what I did yesterday when the newsletter went out was I wrote the email. It was probably only 7 lines. But instead of saying at 15 minutes, here's we talk about this, or at 2 minutes, at 7 minutes, at 15 minutes, I linked as if they were separate articles. So I linked like, here, if you want to hear about this, and then I linked them out of order. So if you clicked the first actual topic, it took you to 7:10 in the video. The second topic took you to 1:50 in the video, and the third topic took you to 15 minutes in the video. So it was really interesting to watch. And then when I look at the analytics, it's cool to see where people go in and then they rewind, and then they're like, really, that was a really interesting experiment. So I think there's a lot more to come. I don't know anyone else that's doing it, but I think it has a lot of potential. And to be honest with you, I stole the idea from Gary Vee. I liked his VIP newsletter thing. He ultimately, I think, has dropped, or his VIP email that he did inside of that newsletter that he used to do. I thought that idea was really cool. I ultimately just opened it up because people wanted to share it, so it's free. Or not free, but it's not private or anything. It's just a regular YouTube video. But being part of the newsletter list gets you the email that tells you when it's live. Yeah, that's super cool. And that's one of the great things I really like that we have in the Zeotag player too, is that analytics. So you see exactly like, all right, someone pops open a video and there's a table of contents down the side. What topics did they gravitate towards? And getting that kind of data is like super beneficial, obviously, for creating new content going forward. It's cool to see that you're putting that into the email and obviously tracking the clicks to see what people go through. So that's awesome, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what you learn from that over time as more people are seeing it. So thanks so much for coming on. Where can people find you and learn more about you? And if they need to get some insurance coverage, where do they hit you up? So if you want to just see like so RyanHanley.com is really my testing ground. So that's where I do all kinds of different stuff. Like I was talking to you, I do some Wistia hosting. I do put stuff on YouTube. Anything that I'm testing, the podcast, it's all there. The podcast is mostly pretty much everything I do is skewed towards the insurance industry, though I have had the opportunity recently to interview Ann Hanley, Tamsin Webster, Nancy Duarte, like some really awesome outside the industry people and bring them into the insurance industry. But start at RyanHanley.com. And if you want to check out the stuff that I'm actually applying to my own business, check out Rogue Risk, ROGUE risk.com. And that's my insurance agency.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, so much. Ton of value in here. Really excited to get it out to everybody. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you guys. Go check him out, RyanHanley.com. Sign up for his newsletter to see the video stuff. And I also highly suggest getting subscribed to his podcast, because even if you're not in insurance, Ryan is just a great thinker, and the way he views the world and business will benefit you for sure. So check him out, RyanHanley.com. Thanks, guys.